Welcome to another Davis weather tracking video. Today we are going to be taking a look at the potential winter storm that could be occurring across most of the Northeast. Most people call these things noreasters, and we're going to potentially have one Sunday morning into Monday afternoon. So we are going to have to be taking a look at this very carefully, actually, for portions of New Jersey and New York. So let's get right into it. As you can see here, portions of New Jersey are already under that 8 to 12 inch zone here by NWS Mount Hawley. This is the most recent briefing at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on February 20th. We'll have another forecast video tomorrow with some updates, but for now, this is what we're looking like. 8 to 12 inches across Toms River, Long Branch, potentially Vineland. Atlantic City, there 6 to 8, but that could increase. Cape May also 8 to 12 inches. So this is going to be a pretty impactful system. Portions of Long Island there you can see are also in orange east of New York City. However, New York City could also be in that over 6-inch to potentially 12-inch range here. These numbers may be conservative considering we've been seeing some pretty aggressive model runs here, most recent ones of the GFS and AM. We'll take a look at those in a little bit. But you can see here, key messages. Precipitation is expected to begin on Sunday, continuing into Sunday night and Monday morning. Precipitation diminishing by Monday afternoon. So, snow accumulations are expected to exceed 6 inches in many locations, which could lead to extremely hazardous and dangerous travel conditions. These conditions are likely to impact the Monday morning commute. So, if any of you folks are on the road there in New Jersey and New York, you guys are going to have to be paying attention. Potentially snow-covered roads. We do have potential of mixed precipitation in there as well, as it's expected to start out as rain. You can see that here, actually. If we take a look down here, 1.1 to 1.5 inches there in Vineland, 1.5 to 2 inches in Atlantic City, 1.5 to 2 in Cape May, and Bethany Beach there, potentially over 2 inches is a possibility in that region. Areas further north in northern New Jersey and potentially parts of Long Island could see below an inch to an inch. So we'll see how that fares. Looking at these low and high end, you can see here, low end, trace, nothing. If that low pressure goes off the coast, does nothing, we see almost no snow, maybe an inch. However, look at this. You can see these higher end totals. Toms River, 22 inches. Atlantic City and Vineland, 17 inches. You can see there, very high snowfall amounts across areas, mainly in New Jersey there. And now let's take a look at a couple of models. So let's look at the GFS. Currently, as you can see, we have a low pressure situated over Lake Huron here. See there, it's 998 millibars. It's pretty strong, bringing snow across Ontario through portions of mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. See, south of Boston there, we have a bit more rain as we have the secondary low here. That's kind of springing up some warm air. This is what caused our severe weather event yesterday that unfortunately caused a few tornadoes across portions of the Ohio Valley. So prayers to all those people who were affected by yesterday's storms. Now we can see here a secondary, a little bit of snow is starting to develop here across portions of the Great Plains. That's going to be kind of our area to watch as we have this big trough kind of swinging into the northern U.S. Let's take a look at how that progresses here. So you can see over the next 24 hours or so, that's going to continue to move off. That low pressure is gone by tomorrow morning, and now we can already start to see by the time we get into Saturday evening, a little bit of kink starting to develop here. You can see a little bit of warm air return to north, and you're starting to see a bit of a surge of cold air here. That is a recipe for disaster. As you can see, some moisture starting to cause a little bit of precipitation to build there, and that's going to be the start of our snowmaker across portions of the Northeast. So let's see how this progresses over the next 6 hours here. You see there, by the time we get to 6Z, that's 1 a.m. on Sunday, February 22nd, you can see now we are actually starting to see the formation of that low pressure here, likely be in the Carolinas. It's a little displaced right now, so it's actually likely to be somewhere in southern Virginia at this time. But we're starting to see here, ignore this, but that low pressure is right here, and it's starting to pull more of that cold air down from Canada, and it's starting to rapidly pull some of that warm air up from the Gulf of Mexico and from the Gulf Stream as well. So we're seeing a lot of air masses starting to be pulled together, and this is likely going to cause a pretty quick pressure drop. As you can see here, watch this over the next, look at that, 1,994, 989. This is by the time we get into Sunday night, And you can see this is when our nor'easter is going to be in full swing here across portions of the mid-Atlantic. So significant snowfall expected across these areas. You can see here, if you're boating out there, which you shouldn't be, but if you are, there is actually potential of water spouts across this area. Supercells likely to develop in on the outside of this cold front here. You can see that is swinging up some Arctic air from Canada down here. You see pulling that some snow from the Great Lakes, actually. You can see a lot of that warm air return there, and this is just creating potentially a recipe for a disaster here. A lot of convergence there, you can see. Just a lot of it. That's where we're having that quick pressure drop. This is what we call a bomb cyclone. These are pretty rare, but they do happen across this area, especially in nor'easters. And you can see there 1,004 millibars all the way down to 977 within less than 24 hours here. You can see here, this is where the heaviest snow is going to be situated on Monday morning. Portions of New York, potentially New York City, you're going to be seeing some very heavy snow Monday morning. So be aware of that if you are commuting on Monday morning. Just take a look at that. But by the time we enter, that snow will start to taper off as we get through the morning on Monday, and eventually as we get into Monday afternoon, you're going to see that snow push off to the northeast and weaken as well. Lighter snow potentially across Maine here and portions of Canada as well. So lighter snow forecast after 10 a.m. on Monday, but between basically 10 a.m. Sunday and 10 a.m. Monday here, you could see that is going to be our primary concern for snowfall here. It may start off as rain as some of those places, but once we get into that transition over to snow, it is in full swing, that winter storm. You can see here at 4:45 a.m. EST, their briefing only expected a 38% chance of over 6 inches of snow in New York City, and even only a 66% chance of more than 2 inches of snow in Villas. That has changed quite a bit, as you can see, up to 22 inches possible. Let's quickly dive into the potential severe weather tomorrow. There is a marginal risk across portions of the southeast. This is going to be with our developing low pressure system. Like I said, that'll be around here. You can see that'll be bringing up some warm air and some cold air. That could create two clashing air masses, which can create some severe weather. You can see a 2% risk of tornadoes across Georgia and South Carolina, and 5% and for wind, and 0 for hail. Not a big threat, just wanted to briefly touch on it. So keep that in mind. You may see some isolated severe thunderstorms across Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and South Carolina tomorrow. Let's dive into our snow totals here. You can see this is the GFS 18Z run. This is some snow totals. Wow. Over 20 inches across most of New Jersey there. Atlantic City, you're down to about 19 inches. Portions, basically the entire Northeast here, you got them getting over a foot of snow. So be aware of that. If you're planning on going any trips across any of these areas, just be prepared. A lot of snow is coming. Expect airport delays, especially across these areas. You can see here, portions of Massachusetts there, 25, 28 inches. Wow. That is a lot, but these numbers may be a little bit aggressive. Let's take a look at what I think is more likely. Here is a more likely scenario. You can see here, we have portions of, especially around the coast of New Jersey, they're getting a little over 12 inches. Portions of New York and Long Island getting over 12 inches here. You can see 26 inches there. That's still overdoing it a bit. Portions there, you can see up there, Massachusetts getting over 20 inches. I think it's going to be a bit more confined to those coastal regions. This is more of a scenario if that low pressure kind of stays off the coast a bit. We got two scenarios here. This low pressure either A, kind of meanders, gets really close to that coastline and continues up into the northeast there and stays along that coastline, that highest snowfall total. Those snowfall totals are going to be raised quite a bit across Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Those areas going to be quite higher snow totals if that occurs. However, if we get a situation where that snowfall decides it's going to stay off to the east a little bit, you can see here, like this run. This run has got that happening here. It's a little further off to the east. It's a little more displaced. You can see only really the heaviest snowfall is going to be affecting those coastal areas here. So that's something to take note of. This isn't a slam dunk over 2 feet of snow forecast just yet. We're still honing in on the details, but we're expecting a pretty big snowfall amount, at least in these areas. We can almost guarantee that. Let's take a look at our latest WRAP model forecast from 21Z here. You can see, as I said, Sunday morning here, take a look at that time here in the upper right corner, 7Z, that's about 4 a.m. And let's push this forward here. You can see, as we get towards 7 a.m., On Sunday, you can see snowfalls maybe starting to begin already across portions of Virginia and Maryland. And by the time we get into the morning hours, that's going to be well underway. Potentially, some of it may still be rain across portions of New Jersey and Delaware and southern Virginia. We'll see how that goes. It depends how fast is this transition over going to be to snowfall. That can also decipher how high our snow totals are going to be. But once we get into the afternoon hours, we're going to really start to see that cold air mass begin to work in, and it should all be over to snow by Sunday night. You can see there a little bit of sleet and mixed precipitation along portions of Maryland and Delaware. Now let's look at the extended forecast after the nor'easter leaves the region. What are we expecting after that? Well, let's have a look here. You can see that nor'easter is gone and out of here by Tuesday morning. And we see a little bit of a secondary system. This is called an Alberta. We usually call them Alberta Cliffers. See, that could be affecting portions of the Great Lakes on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. See, that gets out of there pretty quickly. Once we get into Thursday morning, that's gone. But then we get another potential system here on Thursday. You can see potentially another system. This could be sparking some thunderstorms in that south region and could be sparking some snow up there in the Great Lakes once again, and maybe a potential of some freezing rain in between here. This is still a bit like a la land system, but we'll see how that progresses. And as you can see, we get into the future, things become a lot more uncertain. But overall, after this winter storm leaves, it could be pretty quiet across most of the U.S. for the next few days. No severe weather really in the forecast over the next week or so. We still will have to look at potentially Thursday next week. And not much snowfall after that winter storm. But of course, our main story is that winter storm. You can see here, 8 to 12 inches across those areas once again. So, folks, thank you for watching this video. I have another forecast video for you all tomorrow updating you on these totals. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching.